Your company just promoted your best salesperson to sales manager. Congratulations. You just lost your best salesperson and gained your worst manager in a single transaction. And you'll do it again next quarter and the quarter after that. The number one way companies destroy talent is by promoting people into roles they were never developed for. And the number one way companies create stagnation is by filling every leadership level with people who are still mentally doing their old job. Charan, Drotter, and Noel mapped this disaster and built the plumbing to fix it. Hello, my name is Todd Hagopian, the original Stagnation Assassin, and the author of this book, The Unfair Advantage Weaponizing the Hypomanic Toolbox. But today, we are doing a Stagnation Assassin book review on The Leadership Pipeline by Ram Charan, Stephen Drotter, and James Noel. So get ready for a hard hitting, bold, relentless review of a book that maps the 6 critical leadership transitions that every organization needs to master or die trying. Here's the pedigree. Charan is the same Ram Charan who co-wrote Execution with Larry Bossidy, one of the most respected CEO advisors alive, and we actually did a book review on that. Drotter helped design GE's legendary succession planning system. Noel ran executive education at GE. These 3 didn't write theory, they built the leadership development infrastructure for one of the most successful talent factories in corporate history. And in this book, they codified it into a model that any organization can adopt. The question is, does that model work beyond the GE machine? So let's talk about what this book gets right. The core insight is simple and devastating. Every level of leadership requires a fundamentally different set of skills, time applications, and work values. Moving from individual contributor to first line manager isn't just a title change, it's an identity transformation. Moving from managing individuals to managing managers is another transformation. And it goes on through 6 passages up to enterprise leader. The problem? Most companies treat promotion as a reward for past performance, not a preparation for future demands. Promotion is not a graduation, it is a mutation. The skills that made you great at level 3 will make you catastrophic at level 4, and nobody told you that because nobody mapped out the transition. The 6 passages framework is the book's masterpiece. Managing self to managing others to managing managers to functional leader to business leader to group leader, and then group leader to enterprise leader. Each passage requires you to let go of what made you successful at the previous level and adopt an entirely new mindset. This book is crystal clear about what skills, priorities, and values each of those levels demand. For operators, the diagnostic power is enormous. Every performance problem can be traced back to a leader who is working at the wrong level. The VP who's still making frontline decisions, the director who's still doing individual contributor work, the enterprise leader who's micromanaging functional strategy. We've all been there. When a leader is operating at the wrong level, they don't just underperform, they create a cascading failure that clogs the entire pipeline of decisions. One leader stuck in the wrong passage can stagnate an entire division. The succession planning integration is gold. The authors argue that leadership development and succession planning should be the same process, not 2 separate programs run by different teams. The pipeline gives you a diagnostic tool to assess whether each leader has truly made the transition that their role requires, and a development framework to prepare them for the next one. Drotter's work at GE provides a powerful credibility anchor. The leaders who came out of GE's pipeline, CEOs of companies like American Standard, Raytheon, W.R. Grace, are living proof that the system produces. It's not abstract, it's not theoretical. It was built inside one of the most demanding talent crucibles in corporate history. But let's look at the murder board. What does this book get wrong? First, The 6-passage model is built for large hierarchical organizations. If you're running a flat startup or a mid-sized company or any organization that doesn't have 6 distinct leadership layers, the model needs significant adaptation. The authors acknowledge this to a degree, but the book's DNA is big company DNA. The leadership pipeline was built for corporate aircraft carriers. If you are running a speedboat, you'll need to strip it down to the parts that fit, because a 6-layer model on a 20-person team is a solution looking for a problem. Second, the book is pretty dense at times, dry. It sometimes reads more like a consulting manual than a leadership narrative. The frameworks are powerful, but the delivery can feel pretty clinical. For a topic as fundamentally human as leadership development, the book occasionally loses that human thread in favor of organizational architecture. If you want to be inspired and informed, you'll probably need to bring your own energy to this one. Third, the model is heavily focused on upward transitions and doesn't adequately address lateral moves, boomerang leaders, or the increasingly common reality of leaders who need to operate across multiple levels simultaneously. In the modern enterprise, where a VP might be running a startup within a Fortune 500, the clean passage model gets pretty messy pretty fast. The pipeline assumes a linear ascent that doesn't match the fluid reality of contemporary careers. So the stagnation verdict on this one is still 4 kills out of 5. The leadership pipeline earns 4 kills because it solves one of the most persistent, expensive, and stagnation creating problems in business: promoting people into roles they're not prepared for, and then wondering why performance collapses. The 6-passage model is the most structured, actionable leadership development framework that I've encountered. The succession planning integration is essential for any organization that's serious about longevity. It loses the 5th kill because the big company bias limits its applicability, the density limits its readability, and the linear model doesn't fully account for the messy, nonlinear reality of modern leadership careers. But for any organization with more than 100 employees and ambitions to grow, this book should be absolutely required reading. That's the Stagnation Assassin verdict on the leadership pipeline: 4 kills. Build the pipeline or watch your leadership development dollars drain into a talent sinkhole. For transformation frameworks that go beyond development and into the actual turnaround execution, built in the crucible of Fortune 500 combat, grab your copy of The Unfair Advantage: Weaponizing the Hypomanic Toolbox. Subscribe to the Stagnation Assassin Show and visit toddhagopian.com and stagnationassassins.com for more free information. You don't have a leadership problem. You have a transition problem. Your leaders were never taught that promotion demands transformation of themselves, not just relocation. Fix the pipeline, or the pipeline will end up fixing you.